I'm driving the Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing. It's raining, perfect conditions. Imagine that, raining in the Pacific Northwest. This story's been told before. Cadillac, GM's poorly managed luxury brand, takes a wallflower sedan and infuses it with superpowers that make it a brilliant driver's car. It's happened with the CTS and the ATS, now it's the CT4's turn. This isn't just a V car, that letter's been demoted in ferocity. To get maximum V these days, a step up to Blackwing is necessary. The most powerful and fastest Cadillac ever in class, it's a brilliant machine and everything the brand needs to shed its lackluster image. Again, how many times does this have to happen before enthusiasts show some respect? You've probably heard that Cadillac is transitioning to become an all-electric car company. That starts later in 2022 with the Lyric with a Q. That means the days of gasoline-drinking Cadillacs are coming to an end. What a great send-off for petroleum this is. Its competitors are the BMW M3, Mercedes-AMG CLA 45, and Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, maybe the hottest version of the Genesis G70. There's a second Blackwing, the CT5, which gets a hand-built 6.2-liter supercharged V8 stuffed under its bonnet. Retail price of the 4 begins at $60,000, but good luck finding one. Cadillac isn't turning these out like Honda Civics. As tested, it's $75,400, a decent value considering the performance. Something to keep in mind, Porsche charges hundreds of dollars for red seatbelts. Now, I'm not going to be doing optimal 0 to 60 runs in weather like this. Car and Driver says it happens in 4 seconds flat. And it sounds really good doing that dash. Nice. You know, this has a really good AKG sound system. I haven't even turned it on. That's how good the engine sounds. And there's plenty of power to pass. It gets around slow-moving RVs before you can say Winnebago. Seems in my rush to drive, I've neglected to tell you what makes the Blackwing go. Underneath a sheet of aluminum, GM is shoehorned a 3.6-liter V6 into the bay, pumps it up with twin turbos, and reminds owners that they bought the most excellent CT4 when checking the oil. Good for 472 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque. It's silky, maybe not inline-six smooth, but good. Yeah, that's a decent growl, but one of the many things you can adjust on top of the magnetic ride control suspension and steering weight is the engine notes. Not a lot. But enough to satisfy more ears. In addition to all of the drive modes, the traction control can be adjusted. An optional 10-speed automatic is $3,200, but why spend that when this precise 6-speed manual is standard? It's got a lovely action. The clutch take-up is great with a lighter effort than expected. Choose rev-matching downshift blips if you want. Then there's V mode. It lets you store a custom setting for quick access for those moments you're busy driving. With this many parameters to adjust, only a certain princess that's sensitive to P's will complain that they can't find the right one. With great power comes great responsibility, in the form of Brembo brakes all around. I'll point out that GM has switched out the performance rubber for winter tires on the 18-inch wheels, which works for me today. I drove this car for a week in fear of ripping the carbon fiber splitter apart. It's part of a $4,300 package. If you can't tell, yes, this is rear drive. Light, crisp, balanced, satisfying. I could be describing a soft drink, but no. Those are the driving dynamics of the CT4 V Blackwing. This is a terrific driver's car. You know, General Motors does not get its due in that department. Really nice chassis here. Also, CT4 is a smaller sedan. It's worn like a tailored suit. Ergonomics are excellent, everything falls to hand. The engine note is easily heard, but not overbearing. This car is quiet when cruising, a great balance. Really, this stacks up against anything that you're going to get from BMW, Mercedes, Alfa Romeo. It is just buckets of fun to drive, and you can't even explore its limits on public roads, especially on a day like today. Want that horse and rider feeling? Blackwing has that black art. After a half an hour behind the wheel, I had a mind meld connection with this car. The chassis is quiver-free. It weighs just under 3,900 pounds, but feels light and alive. In the corners, the point-and-shoot quality is very confident, and there's always plenty of power on tap. Top speed is 189 miles an hour, unverified by me. Can't really test out braking distances today because of the sloppy stuff, but I can check out control. Nice. And because of the winter tires, it does stop pretty well. Tires are very important. The suspension up front is McPherson with cross-axis dual lower ball joints. There's a good amount of feel coming up through the wheel. In back, it's a 5-link independent setup. This car is not inexpensive, and an owner may only be able to afford the one, and that's okay because this would be a terrific daily driver. It goes from comfort to sport without any issues at all. The chassis range is especially wide. That's the beauty of magnetic ride control. The rear diff is an electronic limited slip with an aluminum housing and high-performance cooling. The aero package adds the most downforce ever on a Cadillac V car, so yeah, the Blackwing means business. I own an NA Miata, which is largely considered to have one of the best shift actions in the business. This is a close second. Nice and sure. Throws are crisp, a little bit longer than my Mazda, but still excellent. I know, I've been gushing over this car. Gripes? Well, it can't be had with all-wheel drive, he says while driving in the rain. And then there's gas mileage. The EPA rates the manuals at 18 mpg average. Not sure I even achieved that. And it drinks premium fuel. All right, no, that's not great fuel economy, but come on. This is a true performance car. If you want good gas mileage, go buy a Prius. When it comes to cabin accoutrements, the Cadillac falls behind BMW and Mercedes. Overall, the materials are good, just not as rich as the Germans. A few plastic parts have more of a Chevy or Buick vibe. This, next to the screen that's stared at constantly, is especially egregious. There are two other leather colors. The Sky Cool Gray treatment can only be had with a $5,500 package. That adds excellent high-performance bolstering, venting, light massage for the back, and a grippier wheel that's heated. All of these help the driving experience. For storage, there's a standard-sized glove box, a smallish center console, and door pockets that don't get any kind of liner to help keep rattles down. The user interface is easy to navigate if the 8-inch screen is a bit small for modern times. I like the shelf that adds stability when hitting the lower menu, adds accuracy. Touch response is excellent, and that same lower lip makes it easy to anchor your thumb to steady your index finger while driving. There's no casual voice command system that BMW and Mercedes do well, but there is Alexa, plenty of hard buttons for the stuff that you want to get to quickly, and a volume knob. Qi wireless charging? Yep, and that's good because Apple CarPlay is wireless. There's Android Auto too. The AKG sound system is quite nice. My favorite still remains the ELS Studio in Acura cars. Haven't heard from Evil Twin in 2022. Hope he's not in some Bogota prison. I can tell you, he would find this space pretty snug. At 5'9", I have just enough headroom, same with knee and leg room. Foot room for my size 11s, kind of tight. At least the cushions are high enough for decent thigh support. A quick check of the door panels, no pockets. Speaking of, oh yeah, Evil Twin would hate this. No pockets there either. No separate climate zone, at least there are vents and a place to charge phones, that's good. The center spine, that's massive, takes up a lot of space. So even though there are belts for 3 back here, you're really going to want to keep it to 2. I mean, it is better than a 911, but come on, now apples and oranges and all that. CT4 has always been an unmemorable, conservative-looking sedan. Even with this and this, the Blackwing still manages to blend into its surroundings. Switch the $1,200 infrared clear coat paint to white or black, and you would swear there's a Klingon cloaking device option. This is, in a way, good. Subtle works for avoiding the eye of law enforcement. In my week with it, very few people understood this machine's significance, other than a guy in an STI that wanted to race me on Interstate 5. The only badging that points out the elevated Blackwing performance is a small tag inside the car. One style point, the key is painted body color. Now it stops raining. I have to give the car back in a couple hours. Now keep in mind when it comes to cargo that the CT4 is not a very big vehicle. The EPA rates this as a compact. It's right on the edge of being a subcompact. Let's get right to a big annoyance here. There's no spare tire. If you need to jump, you'll be doing it from back here. The trunk is nicely trimmed and all. Dropping the backs means opening up the rear doors. There are no remote releases. At least it's not fixed. Until Cadillac gets around to offering up a Blackwing XT4 or 5 SUV, V models are best for the road, not for hauling loads. At just 10.7 cubic feet and a smallish trunk opening, I'm pleasantly surprised that the CT4 can take on 5 packs of the 2-ply. All that said, let's move on to red light, green light. Green light. If I haven't made it perfectly clear, the driving dynamics make this a joy to drive in a telepathic sort of way, and the brakes are ferocious. The 6-speed manual is bliss. Bravo, Cadillac. The ability to tailor the Blackwing to your precise liking and change it instantly when using the V-mode button. The wide range of the chassis, from comfort to track ready, is second to none. Yellow lights? High performance anonymity is great, which is a nice way of saying CT4's design is dull. The interior is an improvement over normal CT4s, but there's room for improvement. Rear drive is wicked fun. A choice of all-wheel drive might be good for us in soggy climates. Red light. Fuel economy for a car this size is awful if that's your thing. The snug back seat and smallish trunk keep the practicality low, and Blackwings will be produced in limited numbers. I can only guess what that means for availability and pricing at the retail level. I'll note that the splitter stayed scuff-free. Amazing. The CT4 V Blackwing might be the beginning of the end for petroleum-powered Cadillacs, and that's okay. The migration to electric vehicles gives the brand a chance to start fresh, something it needs. Word is, Lyric is quite a vehicle. It better be. A flawless rollout is critical to the brand's future. Considering what the CT4 V Blackwing represents, I can see investors snapping them up, putting them away, only to sell them on Bring a Trailer in 10 or 15 years. That's a crime. This car deserves to be driven. Get out there, have some fun. The Blackwing is all about a good romp, and funny, a brand best known for luxury seems to do performance better than anything. Hopefully, there's a Blackwing EV on Caddy's to-do list. It would be a shame if future Cadillacs left performance like this in the past. You might be wondering, which is best, the Alfa, BMW, Genesis, or Mercedes? I'll say this. All of these cars are fun and wildly capable. At this level of performance, it really comes down to the driver, and even pros will have different opinions. So, buy the car that speaks to you. And I'd love to get into a CT5 V Blackwing to hear the supercharged V8. I'll miss the sound of these kinds of cars. But I'm a fan of electric vehicles too. The Porsche Taycan is brilliant. If Cadillac can capture some of the V goodness in an EV, it'll go a long way to rebuilding the brand. I'll point out this car is equipped with a $1,600 performance data recorder that's meant to help drivers improve their track skills. Wanted to show it to you, but turns out I didn't have the right SD card with me, so that's a fail. This was a difficult shoot with weather changing every half an hour. Roads I wanted to shoot on were flooded because of heavy rain. Thank goodness for the terrific Rob Calero offering up a white balance for my camera, and the always awesome Martin Campbell spending the extra time to make this happen. You'd be lucky to have friends half this good.
And thanks for the Denny's breakfast, guys.
It's been a while.
Only the best for driven car reviews.
High-end work.
Hope you got something out of my look at the Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing. Nice car if you can get it. I always try to leave you with a fun fact. This time it's about Cadillac's old slogan, the standard of the world. What does that mean? Well, back in the day when the automotive industry was in its infancy, Cadillac won a very prestigious engineering award because Henry Leland was an excellent machinist, learned his trade in the gun industry, and his parts were very precise and standardized. And during this competition, 3 Cadillacs were taken apart. The parts were all mixed up, and then the Cadillac engineers had to put them together in front of judges. And it worked flawlessly. Afterwards, these cars were all taken on 500-mile shakedown cruises without any issues at all. And you got to remember, back in those days, that was a huge deal. That's where the standard of the world comes from. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if not just for fun facts, all sorts of other reasons, right? Right. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.